Hey there! Grab your teacup because today we're spilling all the tea on the Great Depression, one of the worst economic disasters in U.S. history. And let me tell you, if you thought it was just about the stock market crash in 1929, sit down because that was just a symptom of a bigger issue. Let's break it down and see why things really went off the rails. So, picture this. It's the 1920s. The economy is booming, and everyone and their mother is investing in the stock market like it's Black Friday at Macy's. But guess what? That growth was built on some shaky foundations. People were buying stocks on the margin, basically borrowing money they didn't have to invest in stocks they hoped would keep going up. It was like playing poker with a maxed out credit card. But in 1929, stock prices were wildly overinflated, way beyond the actual value of the companies they represented. When investors got spooked and started selling, the market crashed on Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929. But let's be clear, the crash didn't cause the Great Depression. It was just the first domino to fall. And it wasn't just stock investments people were borrowing for. Oh no. Buying on time was all the rage. Americans were using installment plans to purchase everything from radios to refrigerators to new cars. It worked as long as people had jobs and could keep up with the payments. But when layoffs started and incomes vanished, so did those payments. Defaulted loans meant businesses weren't getting paid, which caused more layoffs, more defaults, and even more economic collapse. It was a credit card nightmare come to life long before credit cards were even a thing. When the stock market tanked, people rushed to pull their money out of banks, but banks had also been investing in the stock market and giving out risky loans, so they didn't have enough cash on hand. Suddenly, bank failures were happening everywhere. The Federal Reserve, which was supposed to be the government's money manager, made things worse by tightening the money supply instead of helping banks recover. With less money in circulation, businesses couldn't get loans, and the economic slowdown deepened. Factories and farms have been churning out products like crazy, but workers' wages weren't keeping up. People simply couldn't afford all the goods that were being produced. Companies found themselves with too much inventory, so they started laying off workers. This led to even less spending, and the cycle just kept spiraling downwards. While the roaring 20s were roaring for city folks, farmers were struggling. After World War I, crop prices had tanked because European demand had dropped. But American farmers kept overproducing. With prices so low, farmers couldn't pay their loans. Many of them lost their farms. Then, to make things even worse, the Dust Bowl hit in the 1930s, turning farms into literal wastelands. Meanwhile, in Washington, Congress thought they were doing something smart by passing the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930. They figured higher tariffs on imported goods would protect American business. But this was a major facepalm moment. Other countries retaliated with their own tariffs, which meant American businesses lost foreign customers. Trade collapsed, which only made the economy worse. Now, let's talk about Herbert Hoover, Mr. Rugged Individualism himself. His whole philosophy was that people should help themselves, not rely on government handouts. He believed charities, churches, and local communities should step up to help struggling Americans. But let's be real. When 25% of the workforce is unemployed, bake sales and soup kitchens aren't going to cut it. He did try some government intervention like the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, which loaned monies to banks and big businesses in hopes that the benefits would trickle down to workers. But spoiler alert, it did not trickle down fast enough. He also approved big projects like the Hoover Dam to create jobs, but overall, his response was too cautious, too slow, and didn't address the real needs of suffering Americans. Then came the Bonus Army disaster. In 1932, thousands of World War I veterans marched to Washington, D.C. to demand their promised bonuses. Instead of helping them, Hoover sent the military to clear them out. The situation turned violent, and public opinion turned against him hard. And let's not forget about the rise of Hoovervilles, makeshift shantytowns that popped up across the country as people lost their homes. Families lived in tents, cardboard boxes, and whatever scraps they could find, all while sarcastically naming their new communities after the president they blamed for their misery. It was a harsh and heartbreaking symbol of just how far things had fallen. So, the tea is this. The Great Depression wasn't about a stock market crash. It was a perfect storm of bad banking, bad policies, and an economy built on shaky ground. And Hoover, he tried, but his belief in self reliance meant he didn't take the bold action needed to pull the country out of crisis. But don't worry, a new president with some big government ideas is about to take the stage. Next time, we're diving into FDR and the New Deal. Stay tuned and keep spilling the tea on history. And if you love this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more piping hot historical tea. See you next time. Bye.